Hello, how are you? Have you been following the news recently about Spotify and Neil Young and Joe Rogan and Joni Mitchell? Basically, as a bit of a summary, Neil Young has said, I disagree with the fact that Joe Rogan's podcast, which is the most popular podcast in the world, has millions of listeners, is spreading misinformation, dangerous misinformation about vaccines for COVID-19. And he's basically given an ultimatum to Spotify and said either stop having Joe Rogan's show on Spotify or take all my music off Spotify. And Spotify have chosen to take all of Neil Young's music off the platform and stick by Joe Rogan. And Joni Mitchell has said similar things in support of Neil Young, and her music either has or I think will be taken off Spotify as well. And Joe Rogan continues to be there. Now, how do you feel about that? What do you think? I'm kind of struggling with this one, really, to decide quite what's right and wrong about it. Some people would say it's wrong that a veteran rock star, legendary rock star, is in a position where he can offer an ultimatum to something like Spotify and kind of try and cancel a show that he doesn't like because he doesn't agree with what they're saying, and this sets a dangerous precedent for the future when people could be cancelled for having opinions and our freedom of speech is eroded. Well, we all agree with the idea of freedom of speech and that you should be able to say whatever you want, but of course there's certain caveats on that anyway, isn't there? The Voltaire quote, I may disagree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Yeah, but then it's not quite true, is it? Like, would we support somebody who was a Holocaust denier? Would we say that they should be able to say whatever they want on any platform? If someone went out into the street and started to randomly shout racist abuse at passers-by, we would expect the police to be involved in that and stop that person doing that. So there is an ultimate freedom of speech where you can say whatever you want. I guess the line is who decides what's beyond the line and what isn't. The other thing, of course, is, and that's freedom to versus freedom from, and I don't think any society has ever sorted that one out, going all the way back to Aristotle. Someone's freedom to say whatever they want and get whatever information they be open to any information out there, versus their freedom from misinformation that might end up getting them killed. And that's Neil Young's point of view, is that this misinformation is dangerous and it could lead to vaccine hesitancy and people not getting the vaccine, which leads to people dying from COVID. I think there's reasons already why musicians would want to take their stuff off Spotify, and this is just another one. I think another thing that sort of has been very clear to me recently is, yeah, there's freedom of speech on social media, but kind of not. Social media is happy for you to sort of say whatever you want up to a point, but whether anybody sees it or not is often based on one very important factor, and that's if you pay for the reach. If you pay social media platforms to push your stuff, it gets pushed. If you don't, it doesn't. So where's the freedom of speech in that? As someone who creates content, whether it's music or tuitions or just chat like this, it feels very much like my reach has been limited recently. And then there's another side to it. Someone's making money off a lot of my content, coming back to the Spotify thing, but also, I noticed the other day that some of my videos on YouTube have adverts before them now. I thought, I don't remember ever signing up to that. I thought, well, do I get any money for that then? And I looked into it. And you can monetize your YouTube videos once you're at 1,000 subscribers. Oh, well, I'm on 400, so I'm quite away from 1,000 subscribers, and there's adverts there already. So YouTube's making money off that video that I've made, and I'm not seeing any of it. And the way that social media and YouTube and the rest of it and Spotify works is that you are encouraged to send your people, so people who already support you, send them to Spotify, get them to pre-like your song, get them to put your song on a playlist, send them to YouTube so that you get more watch on your YouTube video, and then YouTube will push it further. Get them to like your Facebook page, get them to respond to your tweets, do all of this, and you suddenly think, well, all that I'm doing there is getting people who are already my supporters to help out YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Spotify. I'm sending my people there to do something for them, and what's the reward for me? Teeny tiny percentages on Spotify, another couple of views on YouTube or whatever. So is that how free is that, basically? I don't know. And the whole thing with Joe Rogan is the stories that Spotify paid, I think it's something like 75 million quid to Joe Rogan as the most popular podcaster in the world, so that they would have exclusivity of his podcast. He could not host it anywhere else, just on Spotify. So Spotify's already made the decision that they're more interested in a controversial podcaster than they are in music. And I'll tell you another thing about them as well. When you subscribe your £9.99 or whatever it is to Spotify, and you listen to Robert Lane or a load of folky artists or some underground musicians, do you know who gets most of that money? The big record labels and the big artists. The people who get listened to most on Spotify get a bigger share of everyone's subscriptions. So even if you never listen to the biggest artist in the world, they're still getting some of the money that you spend. And you might think it's going to your independent artists that you support. So Spotify has already decided it doesn't support musicians, really. It certainly doesn't support independent musicians like me. It's given 75 million quid to Joe Rogan for doing controversial podcasts. Now, Neil Young probably doesn't really need Spotify and that income, perhaps, I don't know, maybe he does in the same way that an independent artist does, but he has the clout to sort of say stuff about this and use his influence to get people talking about this stuff. So anyway, what do you think? I'm really struggling. I don't know. I want freedom of speech. People say whatever they want, but of course there's already caveats to that. But then also, it's not a big free thing, is it? It's all driven by one very important thing, and that's money. And I would guess it's the same with the whole Joe Rogan thing as well. Controversy and argument drives engagement. If you post a nice little, I wrote a song today and this was nice, you might get a little bit of engagement on that. But if you were to post something COVID-y or controversial or political and start an argument in your comments, loads more people are going to see that. That's kind of tiresome, isn't it? And a bit frustrating. I don't know. So yeah, I'm on the fence a little bit. I can see an argument both sides. I should caveat I've never actually listened to Joe Rogan's podcast. Doesn't really appeal to me. And that's another thing. We sort of cancel or censor on our own account, don't we? Like, I'm afraid to say, if I see someone come up on my feed somewhere that's particularly anti-vax or particularly COVID isn't real and all this kind of stuff, having experienced it a little bit and knowing people who've experienced it a lot worse, I don't have a lot of time for that, so I am tending to sort of cancel those people for myself. But then I have the freedom to do that. The classic thing as well is you kind of want people to have the freedom to say whatever they want. So if they say something ridiculous, the rest of us can go, okay, that's ridiculous, you're a fool. But then there's also the argument that will influence some people as well. All right, well, I'd love to know what you think about it. Just leave me a little comment. Let's get an argument going, and then it will get spread to more people. No, let's not. But yeah, I'm just interested. Are you a musician? Do you use Spotify? Are you a music customer? Do you use Spotify? Let me know what you think. Anyway, hope you well. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. See you later.